This damn basement is getting on my nerves. I'd give up and get out a long time ago, but that thing upstairs won't leave. I don't know if she can smell me or what, but I can hear her all the time. It's out there on the street, wandering among overturned baby carriages and abandoned cars. Empty windows watching her, garbage praying to her like a new god, a new crown of creation. I'm in a basement that used to house a grocery store. Now it's my citadel, my bunker. I have everything I need to survive more or less tolerably. Cases of canned food and beer, a few shelves of fresh bread, fruit, even money. A whole cassette of colorful papers and different caliber coins, which can now be used to paste on the walls without any shame. The only weapons at my disposal are two broad knives and a meat cleaver. Better than nothing. I just wish I knew how to use them. Before, when words had meaning and the world was ruled by a lie called humanity, I had no particular need to master the art of fighting with a meat cleaver. No one did. That's why people went to fitness clubs or driving courses and gave their children to various music and art groups. That's why they came home, sat in front of the TV, opened newspapers, turned on computers, got fat, got good, degenerated. No one ever realized how useful a meat cleaver could be. Then they did, of course, but too late. I'm practicing. I stand in the middle of the store in a scary Chinese action movie pose and wave the axe around like a madman. Like a madman, that's right. I have no one to be embarrassed by. There are no other people here. Except for the salesgirl, of course. I jumped over her 2 days ago when I ran in here. She's probably still lying there on the steps in front of the door. Let it go, it's not in anyone's way. Anyway, I found myself a very comfortable basement. There's even a toilet. But the creature outside turns this hospitable shelter into a slam trap, and I'm not comfortable with this arrangement. Speaking of layouts, you know how many times you can play a game of Slash before the meat cleaver smashes the monitor? I've got exactly 172. I used to hate computer solitaire games. They made me almost bloody sick, but it was different back then. Back then, the dead were in the ground, and everyone else was wondering if there was life after death. 2 days ago, this question suddenly turned from a burning question into a meaningless rhetorical one. There it is, this very life after death, waddling through the streets, wheezing something unintelligible and dreaming of only one thing to eat. A zombie, an ominous voodoo mystery, digested by Hollywood into a dull but cute slasher movie. That's what awaited the mankind, maddened by its own impunity, in a dark back alley the next day from Christmas. No angels sounded the trumpets of brass, no earth and sky caught fire. No long-awaited asteroid came from outer space, no extraterrestrial civilization invaded. The ozone layer withstood everything. On an entire planet, only one man was aware of what was about to happen. A small, gaunt old man with big black glasses. George Romero. Few people took him seriously. I remember one of my classmates saying that Night of the Living Dead sucked. Well, where is he now, that classmate? He's probably lying on the sidewalk with his insides eaten out, and in hell Satan is furiously whipping his ass so he doesn't insult the prophets for nothing. The whole grandiose machine of civilization, swollen with self-righteousness and drunken blood, collapsed overnight like a rotten tree broken by the wind, and I collapsed with it. I came to my senses on a tattered street littered with corpses, cars, and torn jackets, rushing at random through black oily smoke, always risking trouble. A State Duma deputy was lying at the bus stop, under a motley cluster of advertisements. His head was completely missing and his arms were covered in blood up to his elbows. A little farther away, the zombie was persistently trying to get through the window of a newspaper stand, with a saleswoman shrieking inside. I picked up a brick from the ground and ran up, hitting the dead man on the back as hard as I could. The withered spine crunched and snapped. The starving dead man rumbled and turned to me. Its face, covered with damp mold and black lacerations, was marked by watery eyes, watery and watery, with not a shred of meaning, not a hint of consciousness. They were the eyes of a dead animal, not even a human being. I had only ever seen such a look before in the eyes of responsible party functionaries during meetings. It is impossible to describe the horror that seized me, and I drew back, only by some miracle escaping its rotten teeth, and fled with all the speed my city legs could muster. The zombie followed, growling hoarsely and waving his arms absurdly in the air. Soon I left him far behind, but after a couple minutes of running I came upon a whole group of similar creatures. When they saw me, they roared with joy and waddled toward me, a crowd of paraplegic clowns in mud and blood-stained costumes. I threw my cell phone at them and turned down the next street without slowing down. Somewhere behind the houses I could hear a fierce mate, and shots rang out from the other side. People were desperately resisting their own fathers and grandfathers who had decided to bring order to the earth. Soon I began to run out of energy. The zombies kept up. The only thing I could do to survive was to hide somewhere behind a thick iron door. Soon I got my chance. I saw the store, went down the steps, jumped over the clerk, and slammed the heavy metal door behind me. It was bolted from the inside. That's how I ended up here. Everything went well at first, but I'm getting more and more anxious to leave this place, even though I realize the dangers of such carelessness. I have no illusions about my meat cleaver, and I have no illusions about my future. Even canned food runs out. For 2 days there have been heartbreaking screams, stomping and rumbling upstairs. For 2 days up there, there's hunting, there's blood spilling, there's houses burning. There are men devouring men. And there is only one thought that keeps me going. Somehow it seems that nothing much has changed.